Isabella Hart was everything the world admired in a woman. At just 38, she had inherited Hart Industries, a multi-billion-dollar company her father had built from the ground up. She was not only a business prodigy but also a woman of extraordinary beauty. Her golden black hair cascaded like a precious glowing ornament, her blue eyes were mesmerizing, and her smile had a way of lighting up the entire room. From the moment she entered a space, people were drawn to her, captivated by her elegance and grace. But there was a dark side to this beauty, a side that no one knew about. Despite her success and flawless appearance, Isabella was deeply lonely. She had everything most people could dream of: wealth, luxury, and the kind of beauty that turned heads. Yet, she found herself surrounded by people who loved her for the wrong reasons, people who adored her wealth and her outward beauty, but never truly saw her for who she was. She longed for someone who could love her without being swayed by her outward appearance. She wanted a love that was real, authentic, and raw, one that didn't revolve around her money or her looks. As her frustration grew, Isabella began to wonder if the very thing that made her so desirable, the thing that everyone admired, was also the reason she couldn't find true love. In a moment of clarity, she realized something that felt both painful and liberating: she would have to disguise herself. She needed to test if anyone could love her for who she truly was beneath the surface. Thus, Isabella hatched a plan, an idea so daring, it filled her with both excitement and fear. She would pretend to be someone else. Someone unrecognizable. Someone she herself wouldn't even recognize. The next morning, Isabella walked into her penthouse with a sense of determination. She sat before her vanity mirror, staring at her reflection. She was a woman blessed with all the qualities the world deemed perfect, but in her eyes, there was nothing perfect about the life she led. Her heart ached for something deeper, something more meaningful. For the next few weeks, Isabella changed everything about herself. She dyed her hair a dull brown, looking unkempt, making her look more awkward than alluring. She exchanged her designer clothes for ill-fitting, plain outfits, dark-colored dresses, baggy sweaters, and oversized shoes that made her appear clumsy. She even wore a coat with a hood to obscure her features, hiding her beauty from the world. When she was done, she looked in the mirror at the person she had become. It was as though she had become a stranger to herself. Her reflection showed an ordinary woman, with none of the grace or elegance that had once defined her. But this, she thought, was the only way she would know if anyone could love her for the real her. With her new look, Isabella left her lavish life behind. She used a different name, Clara Hughes, and took a small apartment in a modest part of the city. She found work at a little bakery down the street, washing dishes, sweeping the floors, and serving customers who barely looked up from their phones as they placed their orders. For the first time in years, Isabella, or Clara, was free. Free from the expectations placed on her by her looks, free from the pressures of being a billionaire. No one recognized her, and for the first time in ages, she felt like she could breathe. One sunny afternoon, Clara was working at the bakery when he walked in. His name was Adam. He was a struggling artist who frequented the small bakery, always ordering a black coffee and a scone. He was unremarkable in appearance. But there was something in his eyes, something warm, yet weary, that captured Clara's attention. Adam didn't seem to notice Clara's awkwardness or her unremarkable appearance. To him, she was just another person behind the counter. He was polite, never looking down on her for the simple job she held, as most people would. He didn't treat her as though she was someone to be pitied. Instead, he simply smiled and thanked her each time she handed him his coffee. Days turned into weeks, and their interactions grew. Adam would always sit by the window, sketching in his notebook as he sipped his coffee. Clara began to look forward to seeing him each day, not because of how he looked, but because of how he made her feel. He was kind, thoughtful, and seemed genuinely interested in the world around him. He would ask her about her day, share stories about his work, and ask her opinion on his sketches, though he never pressed for her name or anything beyond the surface. It wasn't long before Clara found herself drawn to him in ways she hadn't anticipated. There was a quiet, soulful depth to Adam that spoke to her on a level beyond the physical. He saw her for who she was, not who she appeared to be. One evening, when the bakery was closing, Clara stayed behind to clean up. Adam, as usual, was sitting by the window, finishing his sketch. The rain had turned into a drizzle, and the streets outside were bathed in soft golden light. Adam approached Clara, his hands stuffed into his jacket pockets. "Do you mind if I ask you something?" he said, his voice hesitant but kind. Clara looked up, her heart pounding. "Of course, what's on your mind?" Adam hesitated, glancing down at his shoes for a moment before looking back at her. "I've noticed something about you," he said. "You're not like the others who work here. You're different. You've got this quiet strength, this depth. But you don't talk much about yourself. I was wondering if maybe you'd want to share a cup of coffee with me sometime. Not because I come here every day, but because I'm genuinely curious about you." Clara's heart swelled. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't expected to hear those words that had nothing to do with her looks or her wealth. It was as if, in the simplest gesture, Adam had seen her. Truly seen her. I don't know what to say," she replied, her voice trembling with emotion. Adam smiled gently. "You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. But I'd like to get to know you. The real you." Clara looked down at her hands, her heart racing. She wanted to tell him everything, the truth about who she was, why she had chosen to live like this. But something held her back. She was afraid that if she revealed her true identity, he might look at her differently. Instead, she simply nodded. "I'd like that too." As their friendship deepened, Clara felt more and more conflicted. She had fallen for Adam in a way that scared her. The connection between them was pure, and she didn't want to risk losing it by revealing her true identity. Yet, the truth was weighing heavily on her heart. One evening, after spending hours talking about art and dreams, Clara felt she couldn't keep the secret any longer. She took a deep breath and, with her hands shaking, said, "Adam, there's something I need to tell you." Adam looked up from his sketch, his brow furrowing slightly. "What's wrong?" Clara hesitated. "I'm not who I said I was. My name isn't really Clara Hughes. It's Isabella Hart. I'm a billionaire. I own Hart Industries." Adam's eyes widened slightly, but he didn't pull away. He didn't look shocked or disgusted. He just looked thoughtful. "So, what does that mean?" he asked, his voice calm. "Does it change anything?" Clara felt a lump form in her throat. She had prepared for this moment, but hearing him say those words made her heart ache. "It means I've been pretending. I wanted to know if someone could love me for who I am, not for what I have. I wanted to see if anyone could look past my beauty and my wealth and love the person beneath it all." Adam smiled, a soft, understanding smile. "Clara, or should I say, Isabella? It doesn't matter to me. I fell in love with the person you are, not the name or the money. You were real with me, and that's all that matters." Tears welled in Isabella's eyes. She had found what she had been searching for all along, someone who loved her for the person she truly was. And in that moment, she realized that true love wasn't about beauty or wealth. It was about the connection, the honesty, and the understanding shared between two souls. Adam reached out, gently brushing a tear from her cheek. "You don't need to hide anymore. I see you. And I've always seen you." Isabella's heart swelled with gratitude and love. She had finally found someone who could see through the mask she had worn for so long. And in Adam's eyes, she saw the truth that had been waiting for her all along. True love wasn't about appearances. It was about the heart, and that was something Isabella had found in Adam. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe, turn on notification, comment and share for more interesting African stories.